look like a
on the
melted
go since
welly.
4.
Oh, I do breakfast TV. Poor old me. Oh, you don't know the grind.
I turned up for one day and my back is in bits.
Oh, I've a driver. I fall asleep in the back of the car.
It's not a very comfortable car.
Tommy, you look wrecked. I love it. Yes.
Donncha, welcome along to the offload. Yes. Do I look wrecked?
You look tired.
Okay,
You look tired. You've
wrecked.
been a busy man.
It's been a busy day. Yeah, as I was just complaining about there. Up since 4, morning show. Had to do stuff with the skincare line ahead of Father's Day. Flow by Bowe, Father's Day coming up, and another gift for the teachers end of year. Nice and easy.
Very nice. Bit of Flow by Bowe for Mr. Murphy.
Mr. Murphy, go sort yourself out. Be smelling great
Brilliant.
next year. So yeah, busy couple of days, but no, all good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I've had a busy day as well. I found out that octopuses. You love this. Octopuses are petty. Octopuses can, they're not only super intelligent. Remember the guy that was guessing the scores in the matches?
Yeah.
They can also pick up stones and hop them off their bodies. So with one of their, what do you call it? Octopuses have legs, is it? Tentacles? What do you call their yolks?
Is it octopuses or is it octopus? Is it plural? What? Octopi. Octopussy.
What a great question. I didn't even think of
octopuses doesn't sound right.
What is it?
Anyway, octopuses can throw stone at other octopuses.
Yeah. Leave us know if we've got that wrong, please. We'd really appreciate it.
So they're very clever.
No, they're super clever anyway, but they've also realised that they're petty and that they can hold grudges. So if two of us had a fallen out over, you know what I mean, a prawn that we were about to try to eat and we were fighting each other for it, I'd remember that you're a pain in the ass, and if you came across me again, they can pick up stones and hop them off you.
Well, there you go. That was a busy day. I'll tell you this: octopi have one brain, central brain, and 8 mini brains in each of their legs.
No way,
tentacles.
Aren't they fascinating? I was
fascinating.
Looking into,
so that's been your busy day.
I was looking into sea otters as well, but I'll tell you more about that some other time.
Oh,
do you know sea
man,
otters?
Yeah, that's it.
I'll give it to you. Just the main chestnut. Sea otters hold hands in the water, so that they create like a float, so that they're together.
All right.
So that when we go to sleep, you don't end up down in Clare, and I'm over there in Tipperary.
Oh, so the river, they don't get dragged down; they hang in together.
Exactly. So
Teamwork.
two of us could go, "Good night, Tommy, God bless," and then next morning I wouldn't see you for 3 months.
Wow. That's exactly. No holding hands.
So from now on, Tommy, when we sleep, we hold hands.
Hey, do you know, you said that on Ireland End this week we had one of the directors who does all the Planet Earths with David Attenborough.
Oh, wow.
Oh, he was on with a new book and talked about they have a new movie, feature-length, ocean movie with David Attenborough, who's 99, by the way.
What a
unbelievable,
incredible!
And it's going to be on Disney Plus, on National Geographic, and he was saying, right, so they had to get funding for. I hope he didn't say this in confidence, but they had to get funding for it, and to go to the broadcasters would have taken years, and at that stage, David Attenborough would be 100, 101, 102 before they even get to film it. So they have benefactors, people who were offering to pay for it.
Brilliant.
Then they got it made for David Attenborough in 98, 99, and they were able to sell it to Disney, and it's ready to rock. So I can't wait to see that and see the detail. Like he was saying, hundreds and hundreds of hours that goes into watching these sea otters and octopi and trying to get the perfect shot. It's amazing. Yeah, I loved it.
Do you remember back in the team room on a Sunday evening, the only thing that quietens the team room is probably other sport. And do you remember Human Planet used to be on around 6 o'clock on the
stuff he did? Yeah, amazing.
And we used to all sit around. There was nearly a truce of keep it down. Ral'd come in. It was like a big thing watching it.
Zeeb, stop playing table tennis. We're watching this.
This is everyone, a whole lot of us involved. Yeah, it was great. It's great. I can't watch those shows.
Very cool.
A bit like The Office. I need to stand up watching them. You know what I mean? So when I see the penguins hopping off the rocks trying to bring back the food. I'm there like, oh, jeez. I get too emotionally involved.
Can you watch it with the kids?
Yeah, a little bit, but when it goes sour, you know what I mean?
Oh, I know. So we were asking a bit. So we are going to talk a bit of rugby in a little bit as well. Lots to discuss. But I thought really interesting bit was him talking about cutting out bits or how difficult it was to watch. Yeah, the Penguins bashing themselves off rocks and stuff. But actually, his hardest part to see is to see animals getting caught in a fishing net and wanting to release them, but obviously you can't release them because this is part, like he said, the animals killing each other is part of the circle of life. That just happens. But actually seeing these animals die, being caught in traps, being caught in, in rubbish or whatever else, and you want to reach out and release them, but you have to film it. He said for the people who are filming that, it's just absolutely heartbreaking. So yeah,
I think that's a bit cold out of them. Like I was watching one the other week, and there's a road at the other side of where these turtles nest and come out. So then the turtles had to go across the road, man, and there's these big Arctic trucks nearly squashing them every time. And they follow this one turtle, and just as he's about to make it, you see this massive raven swoop in. You're like, oh, jeez, no. But like, I'm there in my head going, there's a cameraman standing beside that, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. No harm to just go, go, get out of it, raven.
Or whoosh the fella across the road. I know.
Like, to be fair, we built the roads. You know what I mean? The turtle doesn't put it there.
And this is what he said, that's the most heartbreaking part, because you're there filming this and we built these nets, we built these roads, and unfortunately you're getting caught up on it. But he said, listen, that's the television. That's what, if you want to create change, you have to show, the horrible side of it. So, yeah, anyway, fascinating. We had you on the show this week as well. It was a crack. You missed out on that, fella. Great to have you on as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me along. Honestly, I appreciate it.
Doing your bit, helping school kids cook the right meals.
I don't want to shamelessly plug the new Tesco campaign, 6 weeks in no primary
keeping the wolf from the electric gates, as you say. Yeah.
No, but Tommy, it did give me an appreciation for, I know I'm sagging at the start, but it is, no one knows like how tough that is, that early start and getting into it. Fair play to you, boy.
It was I enjoy it. Yeah, I get a real kick out of it, but it's good fun having you there as well. I do want you to tell the story, the Carl Mullen story as well, for people who maybe didn't watch the show or haven't seen it on social media. Tell us, because you're always a prankster and we love a good story. So tell us. So yourself, Carl Mullen, and Darren Garrahy had a great radio program. Darren got married in the summer, and you set Carl up.
No, I didn't set him up, but basically we kind of came up with little forfeits for each other. And Carl decided that he was doing a prayer of the faithful, and he was actually doing the tough one, where you remember people that aren't with us anymore. Oh. Yeah, so Carl delivers that, and then the bet was for how long between the Lord graciously hear us.
No, Lord hear us. Lord graciously hear us, isn't it?
Exactly.
There you go, for those non-Catholics out there who want to hear.
Exactly. Look at you turning into Trimble.
He definitely doesn't say that. He's the other side.
Okay, my mom will come after me over getting that wrong. No, I'm sorry, Mom.
But what? So he had to do Lord hear us, and then the crowd kind of go, Lord graciously hear us. But then on to the next one.
So then he waited. So between finishing the prayer and the Lord hear us, he waited, and we talked about maybe 3 seconds would be enough. Tommy, he waited 7 seconds, man, and I knew the gag was on, but I swear, something happens to me. My palms and my hands get unbelievably sweaty. And I could see Darren, who was in front of us, kind of getting twitchy in the chair. She thought he froze. The whole place thought he froze. It was ridiculous. It really was.
And it was all down to one of your pranks.
You have to have a bit of fun, yeah.
We actually had James Ryan on this week as well.
Look at you shamelessly plugging your show non-stop.
Well, I know, but it was cool. I mean, he was on, obviously, talking about the Lions selection. First time Lion he will be as well. On talking about the Dunleary Regatta.
No way!
I mean, have you ever heard anything more Dublin? Do you know what I mean? Or Dublin Leinster rugby like?
Genuinely, he was chatting about sailing.
Yeah.
Is he into it? Does he sail?
No, I don't.
You know what? We can't slag him. We've all been there. We've all done ones that you're like, oh, jeez, what am I at?
He's got a lovely car in it, though, so fair play to him. And he was very honest, actually, talking about how the players, after that loss to Northampton, that actually was very much player-led, that as a group, the players met on the Monday morning and had some real strict and harsh and difficult words with each other. So
hopefully they're
maybe
having
they've been listening to what
conversations
you'd
with the
say.
coaches to pick the best team.
Well, I mean, I found that a bit odd that it was the players having to pick this up, actually, and not the ones who picked the team.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I wonder, should
didn't
they
really
be
want to say
going
that to
in
them.
kind of saying, sorry about that, yeah, it was a bit of our bad.
Geordie Bard, our best player, will pick you next time.
You be ready now for Zebra in 18 days' time. Oh, madness.
Can you? Oh, he did, yeah. Here, tell us. He was talking about the Lions getting together. We saw that at the weekend. Do you remember? It's kind of like a billed as an admin day. I remember it as you turn up to get all your photos done. You get all the kits sized up, so whenever you meet up, it's all perfect. You have to sign 1 million balls and jerseys that people kind of don't appreciate that, but that takes, like, I mean, you're talking a conference room of jerseys, all back to back to back to back.
Took me I'll never forget it, 3 hours 37 minutes. I timed it. I'll never forget it because Ben K was done in an hour and a half, and I really wished my name was Ben K as opposed to Donncha O'Callaghan. I was there looking at him just zipping through it going, you've a great name for signings.
But it's literally, isn't it? It's like 10 jerseys deep, and you've kind of, it's a zigzag of tables, and they're all way along it.
Yeah.
And they're really difficult to get a hold of these jerseys, but there's some amount of them. I don't know where the hell they go, but
they go to
3.5 hours
they?
it took you to do.
Sponsors and charities is pretty much where they go,
Yeah.
which is a great thing to do. But you're right, you'd rather get it all done at once as opposed to the team room being non-stop as you go on. Lads, there's a group of jerseys down the back there, will you sign them up? But do you know what I always found helped with those? We used to fight out for different things. I know this sounds diva-like, right? But if we were doing a signing session, we wanted deadly music and rolly chairs. You know,
Rolly chairs.
Rolly chairs make it so much easier. And then every now and again, like, you could have an old crash, you know what I mean, looking for Jordan Murphy to just absolutely wipe them out in the game of Robot Wars. But put on good tunes and, you know what I mean, not overpowering.
The time flies.
Yeah, make it some bit enjoyable.
My one or a couple of memories of the admin day, I was with the Ospreys, I think it was in 2009, and I had to go, we all met up at the Vale of Glamorgan just outside Cardiff, and all the Welsh lads got on a bus and down to...
I love this.
Pennyhill Park, I think it was.
That was it.
And Powell came on the bus, last on the bus as always. First time really meeting Powell. I didn't know him.
Andy
Obviously,
Powell
the
we're
Welsh
chatting
lads.
about, Welsh legend.
Yeah, legend. And he came on and he had his backpack kind of, which was only going for one night, but he had this huge big kit bag. And I was like, Powell, you know, put it under the bus. Like, no boys, here you go. I'm in for a treat, boys. And unzipped it all. His mum must have made about 100 sandwiches,
Amazing.
ham and cheese sandwiches for the bus. Bananas, the whole lot.
Wow.
Mrs. Powell, what a legend.
Amazing. Because didn't we break and then we met up for camp? But I'll never forget that bus again. The Welsh bus came in and you were late. The Welsh bus was late. And, like, not being honest, no one's late on a Lions tour. Like, whatever about being...
you don't want to do it late.
No, it just doesn't happen. But I remember, because you've had that admin day and you know guys a little bit better, I remember Stephen Jones was coming in and I gave him what's Kev G like? What's the crack? And he said, oh, don't start me. By all accounts, Andy Powell's mom was there waving off the bus, and this was when he was heading off for the Lions tour. And they both bawled their eyes out for ages, hugging each other and just telling how proud and how much they love each other.
She was so proud of him. She was so proud. Like, he turned up late with her, right? We're all sitting on the bus waiting to go. Then they have this big emotional goodbye. And then he has to go back to the boot of the car to pull out the sandwiches.
I love it.
He is.
Do you know what I loved about
beauty,
that, though? The first week we arrived into South Africa, Paulie's mom was the first person out there. You know what I mean? So he hadn't seen her for about 6 days.
This is what I always see with Big Brother and stuff. They're all having these big emotional chats. I mean, you've literally been in there for like a couple of days. Give me a break.
You're going to see Paulie in a few days. Yeah, but it's brilliant. It was great to see it. Though those kind of admin days, the one thing, Tommy, isn't it? Like, whatever about being a professional, and you're lucky you get an awful lot of gear. The Lions gear is different. And just to give a bit of context, it is made perfectly for you, isn't it? We're looking at that there, Tommy. That can come in on the shoulders. We can make the sleeve a bit longer. It is incredible.
It's special. Yeah, it really is. Really, like, I mean, when you get that Lions kit, and this is the other horrible thing, is that those players were getting the final fitting for it. So they got, you know, probably sized up t-shirts, whatever, maybe 1 or 2 t-shirts to leave with. But the kit bag is not going to be there until the first day they meet in camp, and that's going. Yeah, and there's a lot of rugby to be played before then, Donncha. You know, the fear is there.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Actually, can I tell? Because I roomed with Phil Vickery then when we got in and actually got her gear. And like, I'll be honest with you, not that he was disrespectful in any way, but a World Cup winner, you know what I mean? He's been there and done it all. But I never forget him. He had I probably shouldn't tell the story, but he was having a rolly cigarette that he'd rolled himself out the back. And he was just bitching and whinging about the amount of the gear. You know what I mean? He was there, genuinely, how do we need 8 t-shirts? And they're like this. Only you, Victor Meldrew, could find this for being an absolute nightmare. That's ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. You end up leaving half of it behind. You're like, the logistics to actually get the kit that you leave behind to get back to your house. So that, because I mean, really, it is. You have so much stuff, and you get we got like a computer, and you got an iPhone, or was it like a you know? Do you know what iPod and all that sort of stuff?
2005,
so cool.
We got an iPod with you picked a song to go on it. If you, so everyone,
nice.
And I remember, I know this sounds nuts, but I remember coming to an instant dislike. No, I love him to bits after touring with him. But Will Greenwood, he gave out to the Irish lads for picking all kind of standard U2 songs. And I remember in my head kind of going, you having a notion, fella. You know what I mean?
Who do you think you are?
This isn't music, man. This is our DNA. You know, like, he was, you could have thought of something a bit more original. The Irish, it's a bit like Alan Partridge. You know what I mean?
Well, with the Irish team now, it would be 15 U2 songs back to back this time. Might be a bit much, to be fair. Right, okay, let's move on to other stuff, other bits of news.
One before we do. Aoife Wafer, congratulations. Women's Six Nations Player of the Year, an incredible feat, isn't it? I just don't want to forget.
Unbelievable. And well done. And what was a disappointing finish to it, for an Irish woman to win that is some credit to her as well. And she's been fantastic all campaign. So unbelievable.
To be fair to you, Tommy, as well, you were sharing it in your socials as well. You know what I mean? It's good to see everyone kind of getting behind her like that. Good on you, Aoife. Like, incredible player, isn't she?
Yeah. Like, I won Six Nations Player the year before once as well, Aoife. So listen, me and you were in that group together.
Do you know what you were, though? Can I be honest with you? You were kind of Switzerland. The Welsh liked you. The Irish liked you. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, Tommy's fine. Everyone vote for Tommy.
Anyway, well done, Aoife. Welcome to the group. Welcome to the gang.
Welcome to the club.
Right, let's. I suppose we should touch on serious matter. We are going to talk about the Six Nations, the fixtures, and that. We'll talk URC. We'll talk about Europe this weekend. We should talk about. We didn't get to mention it last weekend. We just missed the news breaking about the Sevens funding being cut by the IRFU. I read an interview with Kevin Potts, the CEO of Ireland, in the paper at the weekend as well, and really interesting to hear how he talks about the rugby and the concerns the IRFU have about the other 3 provinces. Obviously Leinster, a big gap between them at the moment, but his big thing wasn't really rugby as a big problem, it's actually money in the game. And when you see English clubs folding, when you see the pressure a lot of other clubs and countries are under,
Wales,
and when you see the IRFU really concerned about this, a team that is flying high, Leinster flying high, you know, them genuinely concerned about where the future is funding wise for rugby. And then the Sevens, of course, is the first one to be cut because of that. And disappointed for the lads, but at the same time, the Sevens, it just wasn't making money. And as you know, Donncha, this is a business we're in.
Well, I think we're learning it a bit more, Tommy, because we see the sport we're passionate about. But what we have to realise is that's exactly what it is. It's a business now. And you know what I mean? Everything has to kind of wash its face and be of use. And you've nailed it. You would be gutted for that group because, look, I'll be honest with you, I never played Sevens, but we've played it in training and you've done that type of training. It is grueling, especially on your body. You know what I mean? That no lads deserve it any more than those guys. But I think we're starting to see the ruthless side of business into sport, and I'll be honest with you, I know it mightn't be a popular thing to say, I actually admire the RFU for grabbing the nettle first, because what we're hearing from everyone in World Rugby is the sevens model doesn't make money. They did try to, they reformed the series, but simply, like, be honest, Tommy, and you're into it a bit more than me, but I can't remember the last time I watched or was able to see a sevens match, you know?
Same.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah, like, listen, I feel for the lads who are coming on.
Agreed.
And, like, listen, it's hard to say this, but it might be actually a blessing for them. These lads were not being paid good money. And to prolong that, to travel around the world, like to get to play in Singapore, Hong Kong, Auckland, Cape Town, Las Vegas, Twickenham, like, what an opportunity to give it a go. But at the same time, they weren't getting paid great for it. Eventually, as we both know, you have to get into the big bad world and join business or try and make a living in life after as well. And for you to watch the sevens, like, it wasn't on national, it wasn't television. You had to go find it online. It was really difficult.
Can I be honest?
And
the only place I saw was on Dricko's socials.
with HSBC, and he's just there as sponsor.
No, of course, and I'm glad he's there. You know what I mean? One of our main faces of it. But to see it anywhere else, you know, I just wasn't seeing it.
And listen, and I'm sure some of the guys might dispute this, because there are players the likes of Hugo Keenan, Nick Timoney, Robert Balakoon, a couple other players have come through the sevens. You could say to the 15s game, but compared to the women's game, it's nothing compared to it. So many of those girls are able to cross between sevens and 15s and are absolutely epic at it. The men's game is so different. Realistically, Hugo Keenan was always going to be a class 15s player. He came through the school system. Balakoon probably the same. Yeah. And we're not seeing we weren't seeing the dividends from it.
And not only that, I don't think we can make the comparison with the genders. You know what I mean? Purely because sevens is so vital to. We're trying to grow women's rugby. 100%. We're trying to create the athletes and find them. I don't think that's a good side of the argument to go down. Sevens within the women's game is absolutely vital at the moment. Otherwise, we're going to have no access to getting the players up to speed. So, and we've seen it firsthand. Look, this is my own personal view, and I know it won't land well with many of the sevens, but I don't feel it develops players enough for 15s. I know you've mentioned some of them, but I think they would develop within this 15s program. Personally, again, I'd love that money to be used towards the AIL and the clubs and the grassroots level on that side. I know everyone's saying it's small money, but if you put that small money into the AIL, it would...
€1 million?
Yeah, it would definitely start to flourish a bit more. And yeah, I do feel for the lads, but... For me, I can see the sense in it, and I think an awful lot of other unions in time will nearly thank the RFU that they were the first to grab the nettle. And I actually love that the RFU did grab the nettle, because yet again, they're ballsy and they're kind of looking at it, like you said, like a business.
You have to be ruthless sometimes, and in like what we're seeing in other teams and unions, the money is tight. And what I love about the women's game, and I could be wrong with this with the men's, but the women's game seems to open it up to Gaelic footballers, to soccer players, to girls from other sport transition to it quite easy, and you can see their athletic ability is just phenomenal. Hannah Terrell, for instance, who is a Dublin footballer, is doing unbelievably well at the minute, but she got into sevens and got into 15s. We're not seeing the amount of Gaelic footballers and stuff getting into the men's game. So, yeah, anyway, listen, that's another one.
An interesting tie to it is, did you see Newcastle at the moment? There's rumours, like
the Red Bull ones, is it?
Red Bull coming in there. So if we're looking at the whole overall thing of it, you know what I mean, are we starting to look at kind of franchise models for different things, like Newcastle being known as Red Bull and...
Red Bull Falcons.
Do you like that? I've one for ye. Utterly Butterly Ulster. Well, that sounds deadly. And then I've I thought
Ulster says cow.
I was thinking of one for Connacht. I couldn't come up with a good one, but I think it should be the Dairy Council, and they should just be known as Cream of Connacht. And then I don't think Leinster need a sponsor, because they're getting IRFU funding anyway, so they're all right. But I was
The
thinking,
Dublin the Dunleary Regatta Leinster.
if it does dry up eventually for them being looked after as teacher's pet, they could be known as the Lululemon Leinsters. What do you think?
Love it.
And then I've Monster Munch Munster.
Bravo. Well done. Love
Yeah,
it.
cheers.
Have you anything for the Irish team now? Just stick to the
No,
provinces.
actually just call us Aldi. Team Aldi. You know what I mean? And now
Kevin
that
the
Kevin's the
Carrot.
mascot, leave him roll out. Not a bad one, though.
That's the future. I like it. Listen, if the money gets tough, utterly butterly Ulster, we'll take it, man. We'll take it.
Not wrong. You're not wrong.
Let's talk as well. Six Nations. The fixtures came out for next year. The big one really is the opening game of next year's Six Nations is Ireland against France.
Yeah.
Over in France. So France against Ireland. Oh my God, what a classic of a match it's going to be. But to make way for the opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics, which I think is happening in France as well, they have the fixture on the Thursday night.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm okay with it. Obviously, I understand. One, there's the scheduling, but the one that's going to affect the most is travelling supporters, which is the beauty of the Six Nations because the place comes to life over it, and it's a chance to see it.
Totally.
I do think people might think of you could extend your break and really enjoy getting over to Paris for a little bit more time. But can I be selfish? I straight away looked at it from a rugby player's point of view, and I was thinking, if you play it on a Thursday, your next match is 9 days later. So they're taking away that gap week. You know, the way they're making it, I think it goes 3 games, a week off, and then 2 games. But if you got 9 days between your first game, it's not far off close to a gap week. You know what I mean?
That's actually very true. I did not even think of that.
So
So for Ireland and France, that's a real bonus.
It's a massive advantage. And I know people will say, oh, you know, but Tommy, we know it, man. Days matter, don't they? When it's amazing. Like, you come down after an international, you can't come down the stairs. And then it's amazing with all the recovery and all the help you get to get back up to zero. You're out and running and ready to go on Mondays, you know?
And you've mentioned this before, because there was normally 2 fallow weeks, the gap in between, and now down to only 1. Like that, exactly. That's an extra 3 days. That's a serious boost to those 2 teams. So from an Irish point, because I would imagine Ireland and France would have had to be consulted about this. So they've obviously seen this as beneficial to us as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand why they can't have it on a Saturday.
Agreed.
Or if it's to make way for the Special Olympics opening on the Friday, we'll just have it on Saturday.
Yeah,
But I know there's 2 other matches on the Saturday.
But you know what, Tommy?
But yes, they're trying something different. I kind of like that they're trying something different, but I just think the Six Nations is so big. Ireland and France is so big. Yeah, and I feel for the supporters. The supporters are kind of just being...
But then again,
and it'll be really interesting, to see if there's big viewership, because a Thursday night would actually be box office viewing time for people to watch it.
You've nailed it, Tommy. Genuinely, and I think that's what they've realised, and that's what they already have in France. Their second division games are in their second league go out on a Thursday evening, so they have they know they have the market, they know,
right?
So I just think what we're chanting about their finances in the game. I love that we're thinking a little bit different. You see the League of Ireland playing on Monday nights. You know, like sometimes I look at it and think, do we nearly compete with ourselves that we don't get to see all the games? Is there a smarter way of doing it and looking at, you know, like this, a Thursday evening game? You know,
well, I'll put this back to you, because I do know that Ireland are having a look at this. But one thing, and this is going back another little bit again, that annoyed me that the IRFU are a closed shop is like with that Lions announcement with all the players. All I've seen is wonderful footage of players, the celebrations, the excitement of these guys getting picked and how much it meant to them. And we spoke to James Ryan about it. I don't think Leinster were in training. He said he was at home with the family. But like, open it up, lads. You have 15 players, the most Irish players ever going to a Lions tour. And it's like, no, closed to the media. We don't want anyone to see it. And this is like, and even Munster with Ty Byrne, we didn't see him either. But like, if you don't give people the behind the scenes access, like, we are trying to grow this game at the minute, and sometimes you just got to open up the doors, and I don't think they are. And they're shooting everyone in the foot.
Well, I'll be honest, we've got a bad name for it as well, don't we? The people, ever since the Netflix stuff, everyone kind of looks to the Irish setup as in being bad for providing content. But I actually think not only are they setting the standard on the pitch at the moment, but Northampton are setting the standard in how you do it. Like, genuinely, those videos of them being around each other and celebrating, it makes you, it gives you something sticky for those lads. Like, you want them to do well. You get in behind them a little bit more. Even the team talk, you know what I mean? Like, every team says stuff like what they were saying. You know, like, everyone chats about their unique bond. Have no doubt that's happening in the Leicester dressing room as well. But it's having the balls to throw it out there after a win instead of going, oh, this is going to fuel their fire. I love, and I'm not surprised, not with Phil Dawson. He is modern thinking, and I think that's what we need a little bit more. We need to actually say, you know what I mean? It's okay to open up more access. The only thing is, look, and it's a personal view, I think the media distort it. You know what I mean? I look at the sevens thing and use that as a perfect example. Everyone's jumping up and down over the sevens, right? And I'm not taking away from that side of it. But not a murmur about Leinster going out of the European Cup. You know what I mean? It's like, keep that.
There was. But the problem was, there was but they had a media cut down.
If that was,
they had a media blackout, wouldn't do any media that week. And then, of course, the Lions announcement, we didn't see that. And I do think, and I know you're saying Pat Spillan's the only one having a go at the Leinster media. I mean, you've had a fairly big go at the Leinster media. I honestly,
I can't believe it.
Team.
So all of a sudden, the refocus has gone, oh, if Leinster win the URC. I actually go the other way. I actually think all of those lines should be pulled out. Who gives a shit if Leinster win the URC, genuinely? But if we were to lose one more Irish player off that tour, I'd be gutted. Imagine if we lose one of those Lions going out there because they're playing URC. Like, I'm kind of glad Mac's out of it. You know what I mean? And no one gives it. Like, the URC isn't the prize that Leinster were going after. It isn't what they've
it's not.
funded
But they have to
towards.
refocus. They need a trophy, and you would expect their eyes are fully focused on it. But it is like, I see what you're saying. Like, I just think that these players, everybody's expecting them to win. We all support them. We support the Irish players in general. I want to know them. I want to feel a bit of sense of belonging, a sense of emotion with them. I want to see the hurt of what it's like to lose a final like that, because I've been there. It's horrible. It is so horrible, and that wasn't even with half the expectation those boys had. So then all of a sudden I want to see what's the adulation, the excitement like of these players when they get picked for something, like James Ryan getting picked for the Lions. He was at home with his family, and I know he doesn't want to have a camera crew in there, but a couple of the other players just set a camera up and filmed themselves, and like, it gets that connection with the public.
Agreed.
And I think that the amount Leinster are in a way, and I hate keep bagging them, but it is detrimental. Rugby is getting a bad name in Ireland, and it's because we're not getting access. We're not getting to see personality. We're not getting to see these personalities and the characters that are in that squad, and it's only hurting the rest of the Irish rugby as well, and rugby in general.
But there's only so many times they can keep getting kicks in the nuts. You know what I mean? Because I do think our media doesn't help us. Like, when you go back to the Six Nations,
but they get no access either.
No,
like, they have to almost obey.
I know that,
Leinster.
but I know it's not just Leinster. I'm talking about overall. I don't think, like, our media can portray our team as quite arrogant sometimes. You know what I mean? We're particularly not like. Look at the Welsh example this year with the lads on off the ball. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So why would you say, I'm going to provide you with content, or I'm going to give you exclusive access when you kick me in the balls? You know what I mean? It's just. But
Leinster could have put that out themselves. And be nice for them.
That's the way to probably go about it now, isn't it? You know what I mean? Secure your own channels that you're able to push it out. So
anyway, listen, they missed out on European Cup, but of course the URC continues, as you say. Will they really care about it? I really do think that they do, because I think, before European Cup, I don't think they meant it, but now they need to win. They play against the Scarlets.
Sorry, you've been blinded by the blue media. You know what I mean?
No,
you have, man. You're doing the lady. Look over here. The URC is really important now. You know what I mean? Stop. You're like,
but it is important to them. it is important. It wasn't probably as much. It is now.
Andrew Porter has said we're all about Europe. You know
that
what
was pre-knocked out of the Europe.
No, yeah, but put Andrew Porter in a box and put him weighing out for the Lions, because if he misses out on that opportunity, who's that lie with? You know what I mean?
Well, is that going to be in the back of their minds?
But yeah.
They have a couple more matches still to go. That's the fear in the back of these players' minds, that they pick up one knock, they're going to miss this Lions tour.
And genuinely, like if you missed out on a Lions tour, but you've a URC medal, are you happy as a player?
Well, I would be happy. Yeah, I would have been happy.
You'd be happy. Of course.
Well, I didn't win that many URC medals. These Leinster players could do with a medal as well.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Leinster play Scarlets. Fair play, great to see Scarlets in this competition as well, because there's this whole chaos going on over in Wales. There's the talk of
bananas.
Them dropping a region. I don't know which region it is.
Can I ask you, as a former Osprey, can you see Scarlets Ospreys coming together? Remember you before chatted about oh no.
No, well, obviously there's this whole rugby collective agreement, and only the Dragons and Cardiff signed it. Cardiff, of course, went into administration. The WRU had to buy them out. So then Scarlets and Ospreys didn't buy into the agreement, and now all of a sudden the WRU have reneged on the agreement. This just sums up well.
Yeah, but it's hard to keep up on. But I can nearly not fault the Scarlets and the Ospreys, because they dived in to save Cardiff. You know what I mean? I wonder the question: would they have dived in for the Dragons? Would they have dived in for one of the other regions? I'm not too sure. But does it show the model, like we spoke before? Like it's all going towards capital cities. They can't leave Cardiff go. You know what I mean? So,
no, well, they can't really.
No, but do Cardiff become their Leinster? Do they start part funding it? And is this what the Scarlets and the Ospreys have kind of copped onto? And they're
to be fair, the stadium is right in the middle of the city. I know. How Cardiff are so poor baffles me. For a rugby proud nation, the capital city, Cardiff should be better. They should have the funding. They should have the money. I mean, Cardiff is a brilliant city, and
you could
lots of business
you could
there.
say now that with Clonettley or the Ospreys as well, to be fair to them, or the Scarlets, you know, if they got the funding, I'm just using the Irish model. Imagine if the Welsh Union looked after 11 professional players within the Scarlets. They'd roar, man. You know?
Yeah, they would. They did try to bring that in. Listen, you just don't for the Dragons, for Scarlets, for Ospreys going into next season. Like, are they trying to sign players in the minute, not knowing whether they're even going to be there? Do you mean, how difficult is that for those players, for the administrators, for the people working in the office to know that, listen, the WR, you're going to cut this, or, you know, unless you can sustain yourself. Like, I don't know. I feel for those teams, and there just doesn't seem to be much really going on.
Do you know what? Anyway, Scarlets. Personal view: keep fighting Ospreys, keep fighting Scarlets. Genuinely,
and they will.
In terms of
proud people, very proud, and that's where they're at their best, when their backs are against the wall.
Of course, but we've seen where it goes if you do sign up to stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like it becomes one superpower, and you're left out the back, not able to sign props. You know, like Bar Yee, Angus Bell could be on the way to Ulster. Hear this?
Yeah, rumour has it. Yeah, that'd be exciting. I think it looks like he could be on one of those sabbatical things, kind of like a Geordie Barrett.
Brilliant. So he plays all the really important matches, bar the most one. Is that what happens? Sorry.
So if Ulster get to the final next year, he won't be allowed playing that one.
Yeah.
But listen, Ulster, a lot of talk about the amount of players they've had to let go. They need a pack, and potentially with the big Augustus, the Northampton number 8, and Bell coming in, that would be
Morgan
it would be amazing.
This morning with a year to go in the contract. Can I give a conspiracy?
Hasn't had much game time.
Can I give an old just Dunner's World? Does that free up a slot in Ulster for a 10 in terms of someone like Kieran Frawley?
It would, if Ulster could afford him, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's true.
Ulster would go mad for a Kieran Frawley.
But wouldn't Irish rugby go mad for me? Like, there's the guy, man, I'll never forget the drop goal, the joy, everything, and then just Boom. We haven't
Yeah.
seen the guy.
Like, listen, young Jack Murphy, he's only 20 years of age. He has a great future ahead of him at 10 for Ulster. Of course, he's Richie Murphy, the head coach's son.
I was just
but
about to say, it always helps when your old fella's picking the team. Pick me, or mom's going to kill you. I'll tell mom if I'm not starting.
Jack has played really well this season, and he has got a future. But having a bit of experience there at 10 would be amazing. And Kieran Frawley, I mean, I don't know what he's doing at Leinster. Like, is he just going to stay there forever and just, not play too often and just, be behind Ross Byrne, Harry Byrne, Prendergast? I don't know. It's just like it's very frustrating for the other provinces who would murder to have a player of that ability.
And he's the real deal.
But
you know what I mean? What a temperament animal. We saw that in South Africa. The balls, man. The balls of Frawley, in that moment.
But should Andy Farrell or Humphreys not be saying they have to go? Like, I know you can't tell a player to go, but realistically, if Andy Farrell is picking the third and fourth choice hookers and props and out halves at Leinster, like what incentive is it for a player to leave the Leinster setup? If I know I'm only going to play 10 games a season and I'm a third or fourth choice in my position Leinster, but I'm going to get picked for Ireland in November, so why would I bother leaving?
Yeah, but you've made this.
It has to be up to Andy Farrell to pick them, or to say to him, either you play regularly or else you're not going to be picked.
Yeah.
Anyway. Another bugbear. Right. Munster are going to be playing against the Sharks.
Yes.
Munster scraped in. Good win against Benetton.
Scraped in. Was down there. Went down to the match. I'll be honest with you. The most uncomfortable half time of my life. There was just this horrible knot. Let's be honest about it. It has been a poor season for us. I know everything that went on with the coaches, but even in that adjustment, the lack of consistency by Munster hasn't been good enough. But we're into a knockout stage, away to the Sharks. I'll be honest, that group would lick their lips to it. I just worry a little bit, Tommy. I look at the likes of Archer, Moore. Moore didn't get a whole lot of game time, which I find kind of a little bit surprising. I know Craig Casey was incredible, but just for the calibre of the type of player he is. And then Peter O'Mahony, they're all putting in massive performances to nearly just get us over the line. I think... If hopefully there is, some great games to come and Munster can do something which they've done before, go on the road and do something special. But overall, a very frustrating, inconsistent season. Very disappointing.
Yeah. But I've listed for all three provinces. I mean, Leinster, to be fair, have excelled in the league and looked quids in Europe as well, and it just didn't go for them. But yeah, I think there's big concerns, big question marks over all three provinces. That really, you have Connacht, Ulster third from bottom, Connacht fourth from bottom, Munster finishing up as it's sixth, and Leinster first. So yeah, it's not great. And to go away from home against the Sharks, the likes of Etzebeth, Mapimpi, the Kanyuam, Bongi Banambi. I mean, star-studded Sharks team who'd want to put on a show in front of their home crowd in Durban.
Could I just quick question? I wonder, and I feel bad saying this now as a kind of ex-player, because the turmoil that your body goes through. But our Irish players just wrapped up that little bit too much. I looked at Northampton versus Saracens there last weekend. They knock lumps out of each other. Northampton, they haven't named the team yet, but they're going to be missing players for a European Cup final. But that's because they were full-blooded last Saturday. And I was listening to Sam Vesti chatting on the BBC, and he was there we know we need consistency of performance. We just, to be ready, you got to play matches. And I wonder, are we at that point where, to go back to the likes of that, we need everyone playing more?
Well, like we said before, that it's consistency of performance, but that comes from consistency of selection.
Yeah.
And that's where we felt that maybe Leinster got it wrong, that they didn't play their big players, their first team, in a couple of games to get that consistency, that timing, and it told. So there's definitely, the competitiveness of the English Premiership, I think drives that. I think the fact that there was a good push to get into the last eight meant that teams, the likes of Munster, Ulster, Edinburgh, Scarlets, Benetton, they all had to fight for it in those closing couple of weeks. So there was real competitiveness. So there were full strength teams going out there. But I think the English Premiership, I don't think the spectacle is as good, to be honest with you. I don't think the standard rugby, it is a bit more bash.
I must say, I disagree. I think the fence has gone out the window in England at the moment, and then after relegation is leaving teams kind of just go out and try, or just,
Okay.
But
I don't watch enough of it, to be honest with you.
I do think there is a seriously, like Saracens were the perfect example of it this weekend. 40 minutes, unbelievable. And then just like a total different team, It's that inconsistency by so many of the teams. Like 1 week you watch them, they're incredible. Next week, boom, fall off it completely. So I think that's probably the wish for rugby in general, that want for more consistency. And can I be harsh? I put it down to being a good pro, man. You know what I mean? You got to back it up, Tommy.
But these players are different now, Donncha. The intensity of matches is different.
I know.
They can't back it up, I don't think. Now, I gather those squads, because it's getting tighter money-wise, they're having to tighten up the squads.
Well, Gloucester,
so they're going to have to play
example,
more matches.
Losing 19 of them. But then I do a bat push away then, because they have a super squad. Like they're romping home in that. Like they're on for a treble. You know what I mean? It's kind of going under the radar a little bit, but do you need to have 46 unbelievable players to survive? And then, if so, are the Welsh Union right to cozy up to Cardiff,
I have to say, we'll move on to the European Cup finals then this weekend as well. And you mentioned Bath. Like, geez, Bath are so far ahead. Is it 14 points ahead in the English Premiership? Unbelievable. I mean, back in our Air Sport days, we were maybe a bit critical of Johan van Graan. He's doing a hell of a job with them at the minute, potentially on for the treble. They're playing in the Challenge Cup final on Friday night against Lyon.
He's been smart too, though. He's surrounded himself with brilliant people, and he's got funding through the roof. Sorry, not being overly harsh on him, but he's the deepest pockets in the Prem, and he also has Lee Blackett, who's one of the greatest coaches to be involved in the Premiership as well. So, you know what I mean? Like, I remember watching... Build
a good team around you, Johan. Well done.
Good on you, and fair play to you. But I do remember watching his box kick shy, thinking, oh my good God, are we really playing this stuff, So
well, he's got a 10 who doesn't agree with box kick shite and Finn Russell, to be fair. And to be fair, he's a player, like in years gone by, I've been critical enough of Finn Russell. I kind of thought, like, particularly I would have seen him with the likes of Scotland, and I thought he wasn't the right 10 for them because he was trying to pull a rabbit out of a hat and it just wasn't what was needed. But, I mean, you have to take your hat off to him too a little bit, right? Like when he was with Glasgow, he got them, they won the URC, won the Pro 14 or 12, whatever the hell it was called at the time, Rabo Pro Direct.
The Utterly Championship.
He won that. When he went to Racing, I think he got them to the final of the French League as well. And he's now gone to Bath and he's looking like they're on the run on for a treble. I mean, and it kind of makes me think, if he had a bloody pack in front of him with Scotland, like how actually what could he do with that team? Man?
True.
I mean, credit to, like, even Johnny Sexton had a bit of a cut at him in his book as well. But actually, looking at it like this, you kind of got to think, wow, he's obviously, I mean, he's a flipping good team man and is able to get the best out of most of his teams he's with.
No doubt. And as well, though, I think those experiences have been good for him. I actually think at the moment, playing in the Premiership and actually having to control a pack of forwards and put them in the right places, which the Prem rewards, I think he's brilliant at it. And then there's the incredible skills for the moments of magic, and then having all the cutting edge players around him. Yeah, but I do think he's evolved as well, which is a good sign of someone. You know what I mean? He's coachable, he takes it on. If you're asking me though, there's only one man in town when it comes to Lions 10 shirt. I see Finn Smith every day of the week, man.
I don't know.
I know. I'll never forget walking out of that loss in Thomond Park to Northampton when they were down to 14. And it was the greatest performance by a 10 in Thomond Park since probably Raj. He just controlled it, bossed it. Like, he's a guy you would want to have bossing you around and looking after you. And I think this...
But Russell can obviously do that, Donncha. This is what I'm seeing now, is that maybe actually I got it wrong with him.
Yeah, maybe. And maybe we all did a little bit, because we all buy into this kind of... He's a maverick.
Rubbish. Yeah.
Maverick, but no, he can control a pack, no doubt. there's something about Smith, man.
Listen, I agree. No, Finn is very good, and even then Marcus Smith as well. Yeah, it's actually but I heard Dan Bigger talk about this in another podcast, saying that if you could take somebody from any other Lions tours in time gone by, any player at all, so like could be like a Shane Williams, comes in, amazing player to have in your squad, whatever else. But he said that he felt the 10, of course he is a 10, is kind of the maybe the biggest weak spot in this Lions
I don't
squad.
See it.
And he felt that he would take a vintage Johnny Sexton in his pomp, say back in 2013, or a vintage Dan Bigger.
Yeah, there you go. That's because Dan knows that Johnny would clock him. He's just been nice to him. The honest truth is, I'd agree with that assumption about him going, but I think when we come back, because now we don't know who the best 10 in Europe is. I think when we come back from this the Lions tour, we'll all know it's Finn Smith.
Sam Prendergast. Oh, right, sorry, yeah. Jack Murphy.
Yeah, no,
Jack
but
Murphy with
I
Ulster
do
next
see him
year.
being. Yeah, sorry, will you answer that question though? Who would you take? Who would you bring on the tour?
I bring a vintage Manu Tuilagi.
Oh, would you? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy, when he is fit, back in 2009, partnering O'Driscoll in the centre.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Oh my God, he was unbelievable.
Well, I'm reuniting them and bring a Draco. You bring Draco every day.
Come on.
No way. Tommy, don't even. No. Don't even. There's nothing to do with colours or anything. Brian O'Driscoll is the best player that's ever put on a pair of rugby boots.
What about Martin Johnson? Yes, Mr. Johnson.
No, within that, but I'm telling you, Draco is...
Yeah. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, to be fair to Draco, what I loved about him, and we'll talk about maybe another time, he evolved his game. He went for an unbelievable attacking player, turned into this incredible, fierce competitor, defensive, unbelievable, his body in the line.
Imagine if he was with decent teammates, man, and he didn't have to put up with the two of us turkeys.
He wasn't a great passer, mind you. Didn't
I won't have it,
too
man.
often.
I'm telling you.
I set him up for so many tries, and I was the one on the wing.
Probably overran everything for him, man, or you just weren't seeing it. You know what I mean? Like
Draco
was like the Matrix, man. Everything slowed.
That was just slow me running beside him. Genius. Okay, Manu and Draco
straight in. Yeah, obviously your dad isn't on the tour then. Gatland.
Northampton, Bordeaux. How do you see it going?
Yeah, I'm just going heart more so than anything. I just 25 years on. I subbed in that final that we lost to Northampton when they won it in 2000.
Oh yeah.
I just remember that day, and geez, I never got on, but it was just incredible, and they haven't tasted that type of success. I just, like you said, probably I feel like I know those lads now. It just from, I know this sounds awful, but social media clips, I feel an emotional investment with them, and I'd like them to do well. And look, I said it to you before, I think they're quite important to rugby at the moment, where everyone else is buying stuff. Northampton are building it, and I
have to say, I'm going Bordeaux. I think Bordeaux are just
money man like yourself.
Well, listen, all these teams have got money, but I mean, Bielbarry, Penno,
it's the Avengers,
Jalibert, like Luku at 9 as well. Some of the pack, I mean, if they click, they're box office to it. I watch the two wingers all day long. I love it, and I'd love to see Joey Carberry get a medal.
Yeah, agreed. But then
he's been through a tough time.
If you look at the top 14 where they implode in the big final, you know what I mean. And Northampton have to get to them to that point. The only thing is, are they going to be?
They've had their big game. Northampton have had their big game.
I don't think so, man. I think you're judging them on like that. I think they're different. I know Dowse. I know he'll be able to. You know what I mean? Push him to a whole new level. I remember.
A lovely story.
Yeah,
story.
But look, they're going to need players to play like they did against Leinster, beyond themselves. Like, I'll go back to that final. Matt Dawson, Pat Lamb, Tim Rodber. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can remember their performances. And we're chatting about their lines. They need to be incredible. And that's how you win it. I loved listening to Sam Vesti. He's on the BBC podcast. It's worth a listen. But he made a really good point. You don't basically saying when you go to a final, you don't need to grow a leg. You know what I mean? You don't need to do something you probably haven't done before. It's a very dangerous thing to do. Everyone thinks you nearly have to go win a final. You just have to be careful you don't lose one. You know what I mean? In trying something that you're not, or being something you're not. And I think out of those both teams, I think Northampton can stay to what they're about better than probably Bordeaux.
Okay, there you have it. Right, well, we'll discuss that next week as well. It's going to be a cracker. You can watch it on Premier Sport on YouTube as well, so it's free to air for anybody who wants to watch it. It's going to be a cracker of a match, Northampton against Bordeaux on Saturday in the Champions Cup final. There you have it, Donncha.
So another week. Mind yourself.
Plenty to discuss. The poor old Leinster ones are going to be after you now after this.
Don't worry about it. I'm more worried about people and sea otters.
Can anyone get in touch with us? Let us know if it's an octopi. I'm going to Google it right now. Right.
You too. Done. Slán.
Good luck.
Bye,
See you later.
Bye.